Hello and welcome to another Demis Hellen tutorial. We are going to be looking at melodies in this video, and this melody has been chosen by you guys over on the Facebook poll, so I thank you very much for taking the time to place your vote. I've also included you guys on YouTube into the vote and voted on your behalf on Facebook, and we have the results that this melody that you're hearing is the melody of choice, which was number 1. Which personally my favourite, so thank you very much for choosing a much more interesting path for the track. But thank you again to all those that voted for number 2. It's just as good of a melody, but I did prefer this one. So this video we are going to be looking at developing the melody. So you can hear I've done some basic development here, and then we'll look at how we can make it a little bit better. So the first melody here, we have just the bass and the melody line, so no chords here yet. And then the second part, I add in this to make it into more of an arpeggio. So again, it's just doubling the bass up but with a different rhythm, filling in those gaps between these bass notes up here. So, and then thirdly, I have just developed some quick chord structures here. If I just transpose these down, as you can see, they're just based on the root notes. Let's just remove that awful sound for now. Okay. So I've just chosen to transpose it up because it sounds a little bit more progressive. And as you can hear, everything is 1 octave up, so we'll just knock that down. So the chords are going to be placed on a different one. The reason I transposed it up is because the chords sound really muddy on this sound, but we'll figure a way. So how can we make the melody more interesting? Well, there is a number 1 rule, which I always do, is double it up with a different sound. So we have Massive already engaged here with my Pluck Stars, obviously, which is that sound. If you haven't already got it, you can get it free on my Facebook page. Just follow the link in the description and you'll get there if you are not already there. So what we're going to do is we're going to double up what we can see here. Aha, that's why I'm struggling with the snapping, because it's not on. So we have this sound over the top of the original sound. Let's just start where we're meant to be. So we're going to copy some of the parameters and make them the same here. So I'm just going to fall into Massive. We're going to go to the filter here, and we're going to follow a very similar look to this up here. We'll do that. We'll just turn off the quantization here. And for some reason I can't actually grab the marker now. That's probably because we need to enable it. Right, so read. I still can't grab it. Let's try again. For some reason I'm not allowed to move that one. So we'll delete it and we'll start again. Alright, there we are. So I'm just going to roughly mimic what's going on up here. And back down to there. Maybe a bit shallower than that. Alright, so we've mimicked what's going on. Let's just close that back up. So it's very similar, if not the same. Let's have a listen. So we've instantly got some more depth. It's obviously about choosing the right sound to create the right timbre in the mix. So we've got a very, how can I describe, bubbly sound here, and it fades into a very full sound. And then we've also got another bubbly sound which is a little bit smoother. terms of its timbre. It's not as harsh, and it also fills out into quite a full sound. And the difference with this one is I have a little bit more control because I know that I've made the preset. So we can chuck things up an octave there, change the timbre of the sound here. But I like it at its default preset, so let's just have a listen to that whole section there. Doubling it up adds new harmonics into it as well, and you can make minute changes in each one and make things sound a little bit more interesting. So as you can hear, the Pluck Stars preset gives that little bit more depth into the lower end, because there is a lot more weight on this sound. So if you just listen to that one, you can hear that real, it's like a sub bass almost. And then coupled up with that, you get a nice bright sound and a very, like, it's not flat, but it's duller than the first initial one. So we'll call this lead 1, just to keep it simple, and then we'll call this lead 2, so we all know what's going on. Alright, we'll colour these, and for the lead we will choose green. Why not? Okay, so let's get off there. What we have here is two sounds that need to be merged together. So we're not going to go into depth on how it works, but I'm going to use a preset compression technique, which is parallel compression, but it's a parallel mastering. It's a glue, essentially, so it brings it all together and merges them nicely. But what we will do first is look at the sound in question, and we'll just do some simple shaping. I don't want too much bass in the lower end, and we'll just listen to the timbre when it fades in here. Just watch for what happens. So I just want to get rid of that harsher section there at the kind of like 3 to 4 kilohertz. Just to take off that edge. It's a little bit harsh on the ears at that point. Alright, so all we can do on that as well is we use Pro C, and we'll bring out some of the bubbliness in that sound. Okay, so we're going to go for a classic compression. We'll leave the ratio where it is. I think it's 4:1. Yeah. I want some of the stabbiness to come through that it has. So I want it to sound pretty transparent, so you can't tell it's being compressed. And now you can hear that all the echo detail and the reverb detail pops out a little bit more once this simple compression is added. So it gives you a little bit more detail in the sound rather than it being flatter on the plane. So even though you are compressing the dynamics, it sounds like you're actually adding more dynamic into it. And that's the beauty of compression. If you use it subtly and correctly, you can get it very transparent, so it sounds like there is actually nothing happening on that track at all. So let's have a listen to it now with both tracks. And we'll just bypass these inserts on this second lead that we've put in. Not there. And we'll turn them off and on. So you can hear there's a lot more depth in the sound now. And then the first one's already been processed, so we now have a leads bus, which we've called it synths. So if we take this sound here, this is the importance of labeling things so you can see it in your mixer. Okay, so that's going to synths already, and so is this one. We are going to put on a mastering preset here, which is the mid-side parallel glue. And what that does is it gives both sounds the chance to merge together a little bit better using the mid-side technique. I'm not going to go into detail how it works, but you can hear the gluing effect happening. Let's turn it off. So even though the gain is actually turned down minus 2 dB, it seems to get a little bit louder because it's balancing both out. It's giving them both space to work. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but that is something that I always do to make sure that they are sounding nice. Okay, so that's one thing we can do to boost the melody. The second thing that we can do to boost the melody is either add in a third sound to really pronounce the top notes, or we can add chords. So as you can see, they're not actually adding any chords in at the moment. All we've got is the melody and then the bass. And then here we've got the melody, the bass, and then the bass again, but in a different format, so it creates the arpeggio. So further along here, we have chords. So I've transposed up the melody 1 octave just to give room for the chords here. No, I haven't. Let's just transpose them up 1. Okay, so that's just... that would help. Forgot we were working with 2 sounds there. We'll just use 1 for now. Okay, so you can hear what's happening then. We've got a nice chord structure, and we can apply this to the pads and the string sections. The original chords were like this. So take note of what the chords look like. You can see it starts on the root note, and then it uses the first note of the melody here. And then we just obviously create a simple triad, which is usually depicted by equal spacing. As you can see, it's near enough equally spaced. But the difference is I've transposed the middle notes of the triad 1 octave above, which gives it a bit more space because you've got the air gaps between, and also it invokes a little bit more emotion into your sound. And it sounds so much nicer than it being down here. Sounds really muddy and I don't want to hear that sound. It sounds much better, and I just bring it to a close here because it sounds better sonically than it does actually having this bass here. I didn't like it going so low in the melody there, so I kept it further up. We could transpose it up here, so we're just transposing a different one. We're actually transposing the root note here. Let's just see what it sounds like. See, it sounds a bit too repetitive because you can see it's very close to the first chord, so that's why I haven't done it. So that's how you can develop the melody a little bit further. You can have that melody fall away, like here. If we have this sound here, we can suddenly get rid of that, and we still know we're listening to the same song. And then if we bring everything else in, obviously pick your rhythm and how you want it. We can do all different things, but you know you're listening to the same song because you've got the right chord structure in there. So we've got the melody, the chords, the bass, the rhythm, and we've added a second sound in there to beef it up. So if you was to listen to it here, would be nice if we could copy it. Sorry, I'm having mouse troubles today. Right. And we could mimic a similar rise there and a similar fall. So it sounds very thin here, and then you add that second one in, gives it a bit more presence. It adds a little bit more emotion into it because this is a lot smoother. There's a lot less of the bass cut off than this one, which I will be tweaking, but you get a feel for what the track's going to sound like as a full thing. Okay, so I'm going to add a pad sound into here in probably in between the videos, and I'll just show you what I've done. But the other thing that we haven't got in here, and I'll use Massive, I think, for this. Yeah, we'll use Massive. And this is going to be called White Noise. Now, to give it a little bit more oomph and a little bit more wow, there's a lot of things going on, add a little bit of white noise. Not too much, just a little bit. And it seems to gel everything together nicely. You can use it really sparingly, or you can just go over the top, which I find some trance tracks, especially on a state of trance, you listen to it and you just think, ouch, that is white noise overload. So what we'll do here is, you're going to have to bear with me because I've forgotten how to use this. I think we have, yes, noise generator down here. So we'll turn the amp up. We'll have bright, and then the envelope, we don't want it to fade off. Okay, and then we're just going to apply this by bar. So white noise, I'll just copy this up to cheat, and we'll have that there. We'll go back here. Okay. And I'm just going to very crudely and very quickly just get it started. Let's just... and then we'll match the volume down here, so let's have a listen. You can hear straight away you've got this nice pumping effect that's adding on, and then it mixes nicely in with the hats once they're all processed properly and to the track. You can add a little bit of reverb on there to make it tail off a little bit, or add a lot of copious amounts of reverb so it really fades into the background and gives you this more washed over sound. So I'll quickly show you that now. I would send it through an effects channel. It'll take a while to do that, so we'll just apply some room work straight onto it, and we'll add the mix quite high. So reverb size. Okay, so let's just have a listen to that now. So you can have a really clean cut white noise bouncing, or you can have a more distant sound. To get the idea, you can change the direction of the song in like terms of timbre just by adding simple things in like that. As long as you're using a variety of sounds, but you're not actually making them fit right, you're not actually choosing the right sounds, it's not going to work. So try and choose a variety of sounds, but keep it minimal at the same time. Like you can see, I've got 2 melody sounds, I've got 2 pad sounds, I've got 3 bass sounds, a low, a mid, and a high, and we've just got simple hats there. That's all you need to make a really good track. So I have rambled on quite a lot in this video, so I will let you guys get off. Thanks for sticking around. Thank you very much for the vote, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.